you need to start your own business. Like, get into your own business now and I'll give you business. I actually went into 15 years of corporate life, and that's where I learned how a corporate works. And that's those moments that I like, where it's like, all right, time to get my leadership abilities out. How am I going to motivate people? Where's the focus?
Welcome to Brand Stories, a podcast where we delve into the journeys behind the brands. Today, we're in Dubai at Studio Red, based in Silicon Oasis. In this episode, we'll be speaking with Chris Redmond, owner of Red Holt. From his origins in the UK to making a significant mark in Dubai, Chris has mastered the art of entrepreneurship across different sectors. We'll explore his journey working alongside his wife, managing multiple ventures, and how he believes environment influences success. Get ready to dive into a conversation about innovation, partnership, and strategic moves that have defined his career. Enjoy. Hello, Chris.
Hey, how you doing, Gareth?
Very well, mate. Very well. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. Thanks for inviting me. It's a
Oh,
pleasure.
no.
Pleasure. We're in Dubai, but your sexy box at Blackpool's ground looks pretty good from the other episodes that I've seen.
Do you know what, mate? It's a wonderful, wonderful place.
Yeah, it looks like it.
So we're a recent sponsor for them. So to sort of have that, I would say though, we've had a few people comment, is this a football podcast? You know, what's going on here? It's like, no. So yeah, so the podcast, we're in Blackpool, we're in Dubai right now, and then London.
It's cool.
So
Great
yeah.
locations, mate.
Absolutely, traveling the world.
Yeah.
Traveling the world. So thanks for coming on the podcast today. Very quickly before we get started, could you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Chris Redmond. I'm the CEO of the main business that I've got. It's called Red Holt. We've been going for almost a decade. That's a recruitment business. I can unpack that for you a little bit. This facility is one of the ones that I've set up as a joint venture with Radisson Red. This is called Studio Red. That's another one of my businesses. We also have a business that we've got the license for the Middle East that distributes AI-generated psychometric evaluations. Target markets for that is typically sales organizations that want to know what their buyers' psychometric proclivities are before they've even picked up the phone. So if I wanted to sell something to you, Gareth, I could easily get your AI-based psychometric report. I could review that in 30 seconds or so, and I'd have a pretty good feeling, what I call night vision goggles, on the mission that I was about to go on, cold calling you and getting your attention.
Wow.
And then we've got a few other business interests. We're shareholders in a champagne company as well. That was a bit of a hobby project. It's a champagne company called Ballers.
Wow.
It's done really well. Yeah, we've got a box at Man City, a box at Miami Heat. That's a pretty cool organisation to have been involved with since the beginning, and now for it to have got the market penetration and brand profile that it does. So, and everything that I do, I run with Amanda, my wife. Every single venture that we've got, we run as a partnership. So I'm working from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, and usually too often the pillow talk becomes boardroom conversation as well.
Well, it's beautiful to hear. So how on earth do you keep going with all those different businesses?
I do what I love, you know, and I think that I spent a large part of my career working for large organisations. You know, I spent 5 years at a company called Colt, where I was operations director. It's one of the biggest telecoms companies in Europe. We were turning over 1.2 billion top line, 5,000 employees, 300 million really in the three divisions, and I was group operations director there. And you know, that was the corporate chapter of my life. And if I'm totally honest, now I'm 45, I look back and I never really felt comfortable. I just thought that was growth pains. Mm-hmm. Now, with owning my own businesses and having such a sense of conviction about what the propositions are in each of those businesses, it gives me enough confidence to say, you know, I love that, I'm going to do it. Like the AI thing. Mm-hmm. I started that business because we used it in one of our other businesses, and I knew it was so good that I contacted the chief executive and said, I want the distribution rights for this in the Middle East because I love it, you know. And the studio, you know, this studio came about because I do a lot of podcasts and I love podcasting. I think it brings a lot of value, a lot of social capital. It's part of the fabric of the world that we live in today. I love doing it, so I started a business doing it. recruitment. I love recruitment. I love the proximity that you can generate to a hiring manager. Typically at my level, it's chief executives and C-suite people, where you earn their trust, and you can be the person that can provoke the critical thinking that somebody needs to do when they're making a senior hire. You can ask the contentious questions sometimes that maybe someone who works for them might not have the conviction or balls to ask.
Yep.
I like getting into that space. I think I've got the tact and diplomacy to explore that, and people appreciate it if it's done well. So I love what I do. And when you love what you do, and you do it with your wife as well, it doesn't, a lot of people ask me that question, and actually, as ironic as this might sound, a lot of the time when I get up and go to work, I very rarely feel like I'm going to work. I'm just going to do what I enjoy doing, which happens to make money.
Yep. So do you always feel like you had an entrepreneur's mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. I started my first business when I was 19, and then I sold that to Barclays Venture Capital when I was 23.
Wow.
And then I went into corporate life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was strange because my mentor, the big brother that I never had, is a guy called Howard Shaw. And at the time, Howard was the managing director of a massive telecoms company called Nortel. And I remember coincidentally, as a 19-year-old, being sat next to Howard in a meeting. And Howard had turned up in a chauffeur-driven Mercedes. I can still picture the Mercedes. And my boss, the managing director, a guy called Piers, had said, "Oh, Howard's here," and with his COO, Nick, who became a good mate as well. And they turned up and they came into the meeting room, and I happened to sit down next to Howard. And Howard at the time, bear in mind this 30 years, more than 30 years ago, had this thing in his hand. I don't know if you remember something called a Palm Pilot.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah,
a Scion Palm Pilot. I'd never seen one. But being a geek at heart, I was like, "Wow, what's that?" You know. And I asked Howard, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, do you like that, son? You know, this is a Palm Pilot." He showed me the stylus and how he could run. I was like, "What?" And then we just started talking. And Howard, the meeting had started. Howard's still chatting away to me, and he said, "Do you like golf?" And I love golf. I was like, "Yeah." He said, I'm a debenture member at the Oxfordshire. Come play golf with me tomorrow." I'm like, this icon of the industry is now sitting next to me. I'm 19, and now he's got a Palm Pilot, and now he's invited me to the Oxfordshire to play. The Oxfordshire is where they used to play the Benson and Hedges match plays, like iconic, like Wentworth. And afterwards, Piers was a bit pissed off with me because we hadn't been paying attention to his presentation. But he said to me, "What was Howard Shaw talking to you about?" It's like, "He's invited me to play golf with him tomorrow." It's like, "Well, I'm a bit pissed off it's not me, but you've got to go. You know, this is Howard Shaw." So I went, and to this day, Howard's like the big brother I never had. You know, on that round of golf, Howard said to me, because I was doing project management then, Howard said to me, "You need to start your own business. Like, get into your own business now, and I'll give you business." So I started my own limited company. I just listened to him. I just did it.
Wow.
I went to an accountant, 250 quid or whatever it was. I registered a limited business. I went to NatWest. I got my first business account. I had no idea what I was doing, Gareth. and I just did it. I resigned. And I called Howard and said, "I've done it." He's like, "Cool, I need 2 project managed contractors. I need 2. And then I built the business up over 3 years, ended up selling that to a company called Cube, which is a management consultancy in Henley. Cube were owned by Barclays Venture Capital. And the reason they bought Trajectory, which was my business, the name, by the way, came from project management and the trajectory of a golf ball, because of my love of golf. Wow. Trajectory. And they bought Trajectory because they were listed on the alternative investment market. I didn't really get any of this, by the way, when I was 19. I was just like, "Yeah, sounds cool." And that's it. And then that was my first indication that I would have an entrepreneurial life. What benefited me after that was that I actually went into 15 years of corporate life, and that's where I learned how a corporate works. And I worked my way up. I sort of got not right to the top, but quite close at a really young age. And then I came back into the kind of entrepreneurial side of things 10 years ago.
Wow. So that corporate sort of chunk in the middle then, do you feel that was necessary to sort of crack up the entrepreneurship within you?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was the most enjoyable chunk of my career. a lot of it was really frustrating, as most people feel when they're in corporates. You know, you are just a number, and you're one of the infantry, right? You need to get in line. But it made me who I am now. And I do love my life now. You know, I love what I do, and I'm really lucky to have a really gifted life with the things that I've got and my family and all that sort of stuff. So it made me who I am. So I guess that frustration when I was in the corporate chapter of my life was the price that I paid that was the investment that I was making that I didn't realize I'd be able to cash in when I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
So with that then, it seems like your mindset that different opportunities come your way and you take them, but you don't just take them, you make things happen with them. So, I mean, lots of entrepreneurs who would come to me and go, okay, I've got an idea, I'm going to do this. And then 6 months down the line, it's drifted off.
Totally.
And nothing happens with it. Yeah. But it seems like everything you grip onto, you see it through right to the end.
I wouldn't necessarily say everything, but I'm definitely, it's funny, I was having a chat in the new consultancy that we've started, I was having a chat with one of the practice directors earlier, a guy called Neil Woolerton, and I said to him, Neil, you've got a gene in your DNA helix that I share, which is called the JFDI gene. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what that stands for. Just effing do it. Just fucking do it. And you know, and I've got the JFDI gene. You know, procrastination is a characteristic that drives me mad. Mm-hmm. I've spoke about it before, but I've got this obsession with time. Like, time is the one thing that I can think of, and I've thought about this for years, that unites everyone on the planet. Mm-hmm. It's the same for everyone. Everyone gets 24 hours a day. And some people do things with that 24 hours that allow them to move forward, progress, gain assets, whatever they want to do. Other people aren't even conscious that they've been gifted 24 hours. You know, so the recognition of those 24 hours, and I suppose the sense of urgency that creates within me every day, that I always call them gold coins. You know, if you've got 24 gold coins every day when you woke up, you know you're going to spend, let's say 6 or 8 of them sleeping, so they're gone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are you going to do with the rest? It's fine at the weekend if you just want to go and spunk your gold coins. That's all right sometimes. But some days you need to invest those coins. You know, you need to be banking coins. And so for me, every hour that goes, I'm like, what am I actually doing with that coin? Because I'm never going to get it back, ever. But what am I doing with that coin? So I think having a loose anecdote in your mind around your most precious commodity it makes you action orientated. Yep. And it also means that you've got a sense of comfort with what you're choosing to do. Like some days, if I just want to spend time with my kids, I'll just spend time with my kids. That's how I'm spending my coins that day. That's my choice. Yeah. You know? Other days, like Monday, I was telling you about, I started work at 7 a.m. I didn't finish till 10. Yesterday, I started at 7 a.m. I didn't finish till 1 o'clock in the morning this morning. I'm investing hard, you know, like that's what I'm doing with those coins. So being action orientated, particularly as an entrepreneur, is so important. Yeah. So important.
And do you find you surround yourself with the right kind of people for that? Do you feel like the surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals helps?
That's an interesting one, because you often hear that saying, right? And sometimes the different perspective that I've got of that is, if you're only surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, sometimes that doesn't always help you. Like what I quite like, I'm very philosophical about who I'll spend time with, and people fascinate me. Like, there are some people in my professional circles that most people talk about and go, he drives me fucking crazy. I can think of 2 of those people now. I actually really like spending time with them, because they are a bit fucking mental. Yeah. They are a bit crazy. And I like to appreciate the texture and the complexion of how a mental mind works, because they're just people at the end of the day. You know, we're all just people. We all want our families to be happy and healthy, most people. But I like to surround myself with a really rich spectrum of people. I like difference. I like variety. And I feel like that's what helps me grow, because the more empathetic you can be towards appreciating other people's stories and where they come from and what motivates them, that's actually what makes you more effective. You know, you're more effective non-verbal communicator because you appreciate the way that other people are communicating with their environment.
Interesting. So what's the balance between you and Amanda then?
The balance between me and Amanda is that I am, as you're probably gathering from this conversation, quite a big thinker.
Is it?
Quite visionary, massive appetite for risk. I'm always looking for things that disrupt and violate the status quo. And without Amanda, my inclination to be like that wouldn't be successful. Because what Amanda does is ground all of that. And by that, I don't mean the connotation of what I just said sounds negative. It's not at all. In all of our businesses, where I can forge forward and create things and mobilize a level of motivation in people that a lot of people can't.
Is it?
And kind of get people's attention, like, yeah, this is the art of the possible. We could do this. I turn to Amanda to go, no, we need to do it.
Yeah.
And she goes, all right, to do that, we need this, we need that. That's going to take a week. That's going to take, so I always say this about Red Holt, our main recruitment business. To an extent, I'm the tits and teeth of the business. Amanda is the pistons in the engine. She's the, if you haven't got that, you actually haven't got traction.
Yeah.
So it's the synergy between us from a business perspective that creates the really special, quite unique thing that we've got, I think.
From an outsider looking in, I see that completely. I see, I've met you both, spoke to you both, seen you on podcasts. I certainly get that from you guys. It seems like a perfect balance.
She's really black and white.
Yeah, absolutely.
She'll call a spade. Whereas I'm a bit like, how many different perspectives are there of this thing? She's like, it's this, Chris.
Yeah, it's this.
Yeah.
It can only be this. No, I'm totally with you on that. My wife, Stacey, she's exactly the same.
Yeah.
When I said to her, okay, 12 months ago, I'm going to set up an office in Dubai, I saw the look on her face and she said, okay, so if we're going to do that, it's this, this and this. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
So she works with you in the business?
No, she has her own business.
Okay.
But everything around it, so family life balance, if you're going to be disappearing for 6 months a year, then how are we going to work on this? So she plans everything out.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But yeah, but she's an entrepreneur herself, so she has her own business, own thing.
Yeah, it takes all sorts. Life does.
Really does.
I'm really grateful of just every day. Back to the gold coins thing. Like, you hear it said in like really cheesy ways, every day's a gift and all that sort of stuff. But I actually feel like it is, like, especially when you get tough times in a business. No business is always good.
No.
You and I both know that. Sometimes there's really dark days and you're like, shit. In a way, part of me loves those days because it's like, well, if I was just a salary guy and I rock up to my desk every day and I know that no matter how good or bad things are, same amount of money is going to be in my bank account at the end of the month. That's not our reality as entrepreneurs. No. So when you get those downward trajectories or you forecast that something's going to happen, you're like, that's when you've got to suck it up. And that's those moments that I like where it's like, all right, time to get my leadership abilities out. How am I going to motivate people? Where's the focus? Do I need to do something actually to adjust my posture in terms of the way that I'm viewing this? Or do I totally need to revise it? When COVID hit, we totally deconstructed our model and reconstructed it in 24 hours. Like, okay, now we're going to go to market with this, boom, get on the marketing, get on the podcast, we just totally did it. We got ahead of the curve. That was in the second week of COVID. Whilst everyone else is still like, oh, what's going on? Watching Prime Minister coming on at 4:00 every day. I'm like, no way, I'm in the office. Let's deconstruct everything we've ever done. Let's look at what parts we've got on the kitchen table and let's reconstruct this vehicle to make us money into what it looks like we're heading into. And actually, COVID was a great period for us.
Yeah, I can totally see that. For us, the same. We had to pivot. Not so many days going out filming, more, doing editing inside and things like that. But I think by being a business owner, you've got the ability to do that. If you were just another number, you wouldn't have, you'd be sitting there, go, all right, well, the company's big. We're gonna have to wait to see what they tell us to do. But to have that ability and be agile.
And also have conviction. Like, maybe that goes back to something I was saying before, do what you love. Maybe it's the same thing. Because I feel like when you've got a level of conviction about what you want to do, you're already invested from the most important organ in your body, which is your heart.
Yeah.
You know, your brain will work it out. But if your brain goes first, but you don't really care about what you're doing, that's a backward way for the engine to work.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing for me that I see, a lot of people who start their own business, if they don't feel that they really want to do that, if circumstances have imposed on them, for example, that's just what they've got to do, it's not really what they want to do, they're the businesses that I could see limping along, you know, and struggling because there's no heart in it. There's no compassion for where the real remuneration comes from being that business owner, which is that sense of pride and like, I'm building something here.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm actually getting something out of this beyond just cash in the bank.
So through COVID then, were you in the UK?
We're in the UK in COVID, yeah.
Okay, so when did you make the trip out here?
2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So last week I was actually in the UK emptying our house of the final effects.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so they're on a ship somewhere now on their way to Dubai. The big furniture, you know.
Yeah.
But we had an apartment for the first year or so. And, you know, we've got two little kids, two little boys, 2 and 4, Alfie and Ronnie, and another one due in 3 months.
Wow.
So we needed a bigger place, and now we've got a lovely house that's a bit further out in the desert, but I absolutely love it. And because now we've got more space, and we've got this house that we're going to rent out in the UK, we've got the opportunity to bring over some of the really nice furniture that was just sitting in the house previously.
Oh,
so
cool.
So last week we were in the UK we've sort of taken 2 years to move, basically. That's what I'm telling you.
2 years to move. That's about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. So why Dubai?
We had a conversation, was it now 2024? We had a conversation in January 2022, January the 1st at about 8 a.m. where, you know, New Year's Day, sat down at our lovely table in our lovely house in Essex, and all our businesses had done really well. We were killing it. Another thing that I've really enjoyed doing in the last few years is I lecture on MBA courses.
Oh, okay.
And eventually, I'm 45 now, when I get into my sort of early 50s, mid 50s, I'd like to do that 100%. I get a lot out of that. I love teaching people. I've always said I think the best way to learn is to teach.
Yeah. So
I learn a lot about myself when I'm teaching other people, and I love it. And the university that I did that for was at the time was a uni called Holt Business University. They're based here. Their main campus is here. Got 8 campuses around the world, but their main one's in Dubai. So that was one thing. But anyway, I had this conversation with Amanda. I was like, what's next? You know, I don't mean this to sound as materialistic as it will, but just to paint the picture, you know, I had a Ferrari in the garage, £1 million house, just lucky, really lucky. But not really satisfied in terms of, well, what's next? I don't know, Ferraris are nice, but not as much as I wanted to be. It's like at the time I was 43. It's like I am flying. What else can I do? And what else can we get out of life? And that was when me and Amanda went, well, look, eventually, if you want to do more of your MBA stuff, lecturing, obviously the university's in Dubai. That's the first thing. Second thing is we've got these 2 magnificent little boys. Ooh, you know, there's great schools, really safe environment, all that sort of stuff. The other thing, I might as well address it because people who avoid it when they say they came to Dubai and don't talk about it. Yeah, everyone knows you come to Dubai because there's a tax advantage.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that we did to optimize the balance sheet of the business. And you know, everyone talks about the weather. The weather's better, which is nice. But one thing that I've really learned from being here that I really love, that I hadn't really thought at the time, I love being in such a multicultural society.
Yeah.
I love it. And there's a thing that not a lot of people talk about, but I think this is the difference that makes the difference and what makes Dubai so magical. 87% of the people that live in Dubai choose to be here.
Yep.
Just think of that for a second, right? If 87% of the people that form and constitute a population have made a conscious choice in most instances to move a long way from home, what does that say about their desire to be there? How much more likely they are to respect their environment? How much more positive they're going to be about making the most of the opportunity? Now, these are some of the things that are lacking, I think, in other geographic regions. And I think every day that's the difference that makes a difference. Most of the people who are here in Dubai choose to be here.
Yep.
And that's why they're making the most of it.
Whenever I've gone anywhere, whether it's here, a networking event, there just seems to be an energy in the air wherever you go. It's busy, it's electric, but it's positive. It's that you can go elsewhere. You can go to, I'm not saying these as bad places, but you can go to a networking event in London or whatever and it's nothing like it here.
Oh yeah, but look, think of this as well, right? There's a couple of things that have made me question democracy. One of them was Brexit. Let's not get into that. But the other thing is when you look at a place like this, where the constitution of the leadership and the way that it's run creates a runway for success and progress that is really difficult to emulate when the window of time that a government has got is only 4 years.
Yeah.
In Dubai, as you all know, the mood music behind progress is set by their 2070 agenda. 2070. Right. So everyone's excited about the fact that they're at this early stage of this big plan that they've got the opportunity to participate in their lives. And if you look at the way that Sheikh Mohammed runs his top advisors, there's a determination there that 50% of them will be female. Now, there's a lot of companies that aspire to that.
Yep.
And we're talking about a government. We're talking about the way that a country is run, really progressive. And I personally think, I might be wrong and I might be straying a little bit in towards political stuff here, but when the buck stops with somebody and that person is charged with making the right decisions and taking advice from the right kind of people, if that person has got the right value set around how those decisions are created, explored, crystallized, delivered upon, more often than not, they're going to be good decisions.
Yeah.
And, when you're working to a 2070 timeline, it's like, well, we've got a lot of time to do this. We got enough time to get it wrong as well as right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we were just talking to Reg before, Reg Athwell, who's another guest on the podcast. His focus is on family and legacy. We're talking multi-generational businesses and what that does in terms of sort of lay out a foundation for your whole family's future. Is that something you would think, or do you want your kids to be part of your business as they go older?
If they wanted to, I've got an 18-year-old and a 13-year-old as well. And I've always said to them, look, if you want to work in the businesses, my daughter is really into media. She's always been quite amazing at that sort of stuff, probably from...
Yeah.
And I've said to her, look, if you want to come and spend the summer working in the studio, do it. It'd be brilliant for you.
Yeah.
But I don't impose it on them. My interpretation of what you just said about Reg is more about creating options for them. Because one of the things that my old man always said to me was, and my mum, I'll support you in whatever you want to do, as long as you're doing something.
Yep.
The only thing I won't support you doing is being a bum.
Yep.
Like my first job was at the MFI warehouse. The people who don't remember MFI, that was the equivalent of IKEA. And I was the warehouse boy.
Yep.
I decided I wanted to drop out of A-levels. And they were like, okay, your choice, it's your life. But you're not sitting at home playing on it wasn't even an Xbox then, I don't even know what it was, but probably Atari 260, Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, yeah. But, and I was like, yeah, cool. So that's I've always been loved in a way that has allowed me to explore who I am and what I want to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm quite big on emulating that for my children, whatever they want to be. I had a meeting earlier with an amazing lady called Marissa Peer. Marissa's massive, like she's 1 million followers or what. And Marissa said something that really resonated with me as a father, as a human as well. She's like, our main job as teachers and parents, and our only job, is to build self-esteem into our children. Because if you can nail that as the tip of the spear, if they've got self-esteem, they'll be good at academia, they'll be confident socially, all of these other things. And Marissa's got enough of a following, and I've spent time with her, so I believe in what she says, and it landed with me. I was like, yeah, I think I'll adopt that one. So I guess that's one of the things for me. I haven't always done it perfectly, definitely not. But, I think at this point in my life, if I look at my young kids now and the one that's about to come into the world, building self-esteem into them is near the top of the agenda.
Absolutely. Going back to your family and the business side of things as well, on your social channels, there's a lovely balance of family, business, excitement, all these different things going on. You seem to have a very balance throughout everything. Is that? Are you mindful of that? How does that work?
Yeah, I probably learned that. I think one of the reasons that my first marriage wasn't successful is because I was just so into my career. Like, you couldn't put me on a plane and fly me to a destination for a meeting quick enough. Like, I'd always be the first to accept.
Yeah.
Because I had a selfish agenda at that point. I was very driven by what I wanted to do as a younger man. And I guess now what that's delivered me to, and my level of comfort with who I am, is I do love working, I do love my family, I like socialising. So anyone that wants to follow me or look at my socials will see all of that sort of stuff, because I am what I would call confidently vulnerable. Some people will like who I am, some people won't. It's always going to oscillate in terms of that. But I'm like, look, this is who I am. This is how I'm living my life, And I don't think I'm the finished product at all, but I'm confident about who I am. I don't think I'm perfect. I don't want anyone to hear that and think that guy thinks he's a finished product. Far from it. But I think I do live my life in quite a balanced way. The last 2 days have been very heavily work orientated, but I've got the gift of being able to dial up and dial down on my diary to go, okay, well, now I need to spend a bit more time with Alfie and Ronnie, So yeah, I'm definitely I'll be at 5:30 when my last meeting finishes today. I'll definitely be heading home to spend time with them before bed.
I bet. So going back to coming out to Dubai then, what would you say to someone from the UK that's decided, yeah, I'm going to take the leap. I'm going to move out to Dubai and either start another office out there or just start a fresh business out there?
The immediate response that comes to mind is do it, but there's some caveats with that, obviously, if my response is going to create value for people. So, why are you doing it? I'd say make sure that if you're coming out here to start your own business, make sure that you are really good at networking, and not just networking, but one thing about Dubai is that you will not struggle to get meetings. It's actually one of the easiest places in the world to get meetings, which is totally the opposite to London, right? But when you get those meetings, you've got to do follow up, because a lot of people will meet you because they're all expats and everyone's into networking and meeting new people. But you've got to be able to convert deals. The shape of your pipeline will look very different in Dubai to what it would in London. In London, really hard to get meetings, but the percentage of those that convert, hopefully higher. Here, totally the opposite. You've got to get a lot of meetings, and then you've got to really be good at working out how to move those meetings through. That's if you're coming to be an entrepreneur. If you're coming to find a job, in my opinion, that's a lot harder. A lot harder. It's a small population compared to New York, London, or wherever else, big cities you might think of. And then if you divide that the working percentage of that population up into the professional subsectors, media, medical, sales, whatever, however you want to dice it up, there's an even smaller number of people. And all of those people that are currently here are dependent on the visa that is given to them by their employer. So they don't move around a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when people come here, I get it all the time. People saying, I want to come to Dubai. Where's the pile of jobs that you're working on in Dubai? It's not like that. It isn't. Maybe it used to be. It's not anymore. It's hard. I actually observe people who want to come to Dubai, find it hard to get a job. And the painful thing that I observe a lot as well is that if you lose your job in Dubai, you're on the same pile.
Yeah.
You need to find a job. And the painful thing about that, watching mates and stuff that go through it, or even professional acquaintances that I care about, is that by that time, their kids are at school here. They've got, unless they've got a golden visa, it's like this whole life that has been built in Dubai. And even if they've got a golden visa, it's still hard to find a job. I know really, really good people in Dubai who go for a year and a half without a job. Yeah, absolutely, really good people. So I think it's you need to be realistic about your mode of employment, I suppose, is what I'd say to people.
Yeah. And when you came out here, did you already have a network of people that you could, obviously the university, but was there an extended network that you had access to?
To an extent.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the jobs that I had in the corporate chapter was Global Vice President of Indirect Sales for a big Swedish company.
Yeah.
And we had an office here in Dubai, so I was regularly in Dubai, so I had a familiarity and a sort of network. And then for a year, I was the EMEA managing director of the biggest pure play digital recruitment company in the world called Salt. And we had an office here. So I was here every month with the team who I loved at Salt. So I had that. And, when we came here, we didn't really come with an intention to penetrate this market. That wasn't the motivation for the move.
Mm-hmm.
But with me being me and a natural networker, we just found that just happened, So in terms of the comparison between me and Amanda, she's a red on a disc profile.
Yep.
I'm a yellow, and yellow people will always, you put a yellow person in a room, they'll make mates really quickly, and I'm a yellow. So I just we started doing professional breakfasts, and before you know it, you're talking about the business. Our business have got really good propositions, really good pitch. So you're kind of doing the elevator pitch to introduce yourself to people. Oh, that's interesting. Before you know it, you're doing meetings. Meetings convert into opportunities. And then me and Amanda are sitting there like, we've got clients in Dubai now.
Wow.
It just sort of happened. So, but we had a familiarity with Dubai from being here, business and pleasure, and then a sort of network that I suppose we just accentuated through the way that we are naturally.
Fantastic. So what's the future look like for you?
So at the moment, what we're doing, most of my focus at the moment is on getting a media consultancy up and running. So for the last 4 years, I've really focused on the streaming market globally and probably become one of the biggest names globally that there is in the recruitment space in the streaming market. I've got a network of hundreds of people within that. And when I say a network, I don't mean a database. I mean a really active network. We've got our own app called OTTRED. Within that app, we've got a sister WhatsApp group there. And that WhatsApp group is like a trading floor it was over 700 people in that group. And it's like the trading floor of what's happening in the industry. We've got people from 59 countries in that group.
Wow.
So we've really got our finger on the pulse in a very organic way of what's happening in the media market. That's been going for a few years now, and increasingly as that's grown and it's a hockey stick growth in that, a lot of people have been saying to me, Chris, we could do more. So the idea that I had was, if we've got all these superheroes within that group, which we do, let's appoint some of them as practice directors for lines of business within a media consultancy, where our USP is that everyone in our consultancy is a thoroughbred media person. Now, if you look at a lot of the consultancies that are providing intellectually orientated services and products to the media market, they couldn't make that claim. They've got very smart people who have been to university and studied things, but the people in the OTTRED consultancy are thoroughbred, pure play media people who have been on the client side of the desk. are strong. So we're at a stage at the moment where we've appointed those people as practice directors. We've got 15 of them. Each practice has got its own characteristic. This week I'm doing one-to-ones with all the practice directors to crystallize and sharpen up what the proposition is from their practice. We're blending that into the go-to-market plan for the OTTRED. We called it OTTRED 2.0, the consultancy. And then next week, what we're going to be doing is kind of starting the go-to-market. On Sunday, we're holding an event in Vegas at the National Association of Broadcasters, and it's sold out within 5 hours. You know, we booked a venue big enough for 50 people to promote OTTRED 2.0. Sold out within 5 hours. A lady called Kathy Rassenberger, who is an absolute icon. I love Kathy, who's going to be hosting that with another great guy called Mark Rawlings-Smith, who's our practice director for the partnerships practice in direct sales. They're over there. They'll be hosting it. But, you know, what we're aiming to do in year one with that is get it up and running and prove the model. Year two, it will maybe to get some sort of investment so that we can crystallize it and make it into an organization where each one of the practice directors has got their own equity. But my overall vision for that 3 to 5 year vision is that it will globally become the media consultancy of choice. And it sounds a bit crazy, but what I'd love to do with that is list it. I've never listed a company.
Oh, wow.
So if we can do some sort of IPO with that, it'd be amazing to turn a group of amazing people from a WhatsApp group into a listed organization.
Fantastic. How exciting.
That's the plan.
Wow. Well, I feel we covered a lot there, mate, didn't we?
We're always going to, mate, with me and you talking.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've no doubt we'll have another one of these in a few months' time
hopefully.
And see where things are up to.
I love what you're doing, mate. Sherbet Lemon is a great organisation, and it's a pleasure to be invited on your podcast. Thank you.
Oh, cheers, pal. Really appreciate it. All right, take care, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you for tuning in to Brand Stories. Make sure to follow us on social media for behind-the-scenes content and updates on future episodes. Until next time, keep building, keep dreaming, and keep sharing your brand story.